Hi, welcome to my automotive show KG Canadian Enthusiast, my latest episode. Before start the show, hit the like button and subscribe to my show. Now let's get started. Today on the show, we're going to talk about few topics. Actually, we're going to talk about a reality check for the Lexus UX, and of course, we're going to talk about two cancelled automotive events and many more. So now let's get started with the quick news, shall we? The New York Auto Show is now being cancelled because of the Delta variant. So that there won't be a New York Auto Show happening in 2021, instead pushed back to 2022. But the good news, all of the major launches, such as the new WRX, the new Nissan Z, all of them will be revealed on their respective timelines, even if there is no New York Auto Show. So that is great news for enthusiasts like us. So, and also in India, the Indian Auto Expo 2022 has also been cancelled because of the pandemic. As you always know, the countries outside the West will have the pandemic last a little bit longer because of lack of vaccinations and things like that, and mishandling of the pandemic, things like that. So something to consider there. So two automotive events are now cancelled. So something to understand. So moving on quickly from that, let's jump in. Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Now, Mercedes claimed that there would be no V12 S-Class in the standard S-Class apart from Mercedes Maybach. The Germans don't keep promises very well, because Mercedes-Benz have just launched a range-topping Mercedes-Benz S680 Guard model, which is virtually a fully armored, bulletproof luxury limousine for the politicians, the VIPs, who they are people where their lives are at risk. It's essential because after 9/11, in 9/11, politicians have been fear of their security, which I truly understand that. Now, you can't have a S680 Guard model without a high-spec engine, and it should be based on the most expensive model. So it's currently the most expensive model in the normal S-Class is the S580 long wheelbase or short wheelbase right now, which costs $117,000 to begin with in the US. So what would you do if you're Mercedes? Simple. You take a Mercedes Maybach with a V12, turn that into a Mercedes. But in general, the Maybach is a Mercedes, so it's not much of a confusion there. So that's what the Mercedes-Benz S680 Guard version is. It's technically a Mercedes Maybach S680 Maybach model with a Mercedes badge, with bulletproof and the longer wheelbase. So now you might say, well, this means that Mercedes have broken the promise. This is a V12 standard S-Class. Yes, you can buy a normal S-Class with a V12, but you have to pay a large price. The starting price is £388,000. That's a lot of money, I must admit. That's way more than a current S580, but it's worth it. Remember, there was one time you can have a S-Class which cost $650,000, the Pullman. So many people bought them, and plus these are only most of the time likely purchased by VIPs and politicians. So the duration of your delivery of your order will take time. So these are custom built vehicles. So expectations, expect top-notch class-leading luxury as you expect from the S-Class. Glorious 6-liter bi-turbo V12 with 603 horsepower, but electronically limited to 130 miles per hour. And it will look prestigious, opulent, honorable, and purely and very aristocratic in typical Mercedes fashion. So something to consider. And of course, from the S-Class, let's talk about the big topic of the day. I want to talk about the Lexus UX. Now, YouTuber Kirk, one of my favorite shows, now he has recently put out a video talking about whether the Lexus UX is too small or is it underpowered compared to the competition. Now, I generally would say I disagree with the show about the video on that, because I will explain to you very detailedly. Now, this is the engine lineup for the Lexus UX actually. You have a 2-liter 4-cylinder with a 169 horsepower engine, a hybrid with 181 horsepower, and a full EV version that's not sold in the US, which makes 201 horsepower with a single electric motor. Now, Kirk has a point, and I believe myself as a point as this well. I agree with him on the points where in the US the Lexus UX is slow and it's not that, value in terms of performance. I admit that. However, I am a person who looks internationally and globally. And globally, you can have a BMW X1 with just 114 horsepower, and it will cost more money then a Lexus UX model, then a UX 250 luxury trim, which cost $41,000. Yes, I'm not joking. You can have a diesel BMW with just 114 horsepower globally. So yes, in the US, BMW only gives the most powerful engines. But also, he claims that this thing cost more money, but you get more punch and more space. This is the thing about that theory which I do have to correct on this. This is the thing. Lexus UX sits in a lineup where you have the RX and the NX. So the UX can't be big as the NX to survive in the Lexus lineup. It's a simple theory. And think this way. The Lexus NX is based on the RAV4 and the UX is based on the Toyota CHR. That's the reason. There's a reason for that. That's the significant reason. And also, some people might find it small, but if you really think about it hard enough, will you complain the practicality of a BMW X1, X2, a Q3, a GLA or a GLB or a XC40? You don't, because all the names I mentioned, all those vehicles cost more money. They all cost more money. Once you start piling up optional extras on them, on XC40 you will cost well up to $40,000-$50,000, or a BMW X1 or X2 $60,000, or a Mercedes-Benz GLA, GLB. They start at $70,000 for an AMG model. So in terms of price, a UX is a well-priced compact luxury SUV with Lexus high-quality interiors and reliability. And that's reality. And Lexus sales are not certainly showing that they are struggling at all. Sales are actually up. Now, he also pointed out that the reason numbers might look rather good is because the segment is a very large segment. It's not, because it doesn't matter how large a segment is. If the product you sell is not good enough, then you can't technically sell anything. Finest of examples, the Pontiac Aztek. The Aztek was in a very competitive compact luxury crossover segment. But, however, the Aztek was so bad, they could not meet the requirement of sales, the breaking even point of 30,000. They only sold 27,000. So the Aztek is a good example. You might be in a large segment with high volume sales, but that does not mean you can sell dog shit. You can't. You have to sell good, high quality stuff to sell if you're a luxury brand. And that's what the Lexus UX is. So my ultimate question is the UX. So is the Lexus UX too small or uncompetitive, or is it the segment numbers make it look good? The answer is no. It's not too small. I think it's sized perfectly. It has plenty of performance, more than you ever need in your life for daily life. It's full economical compared to its competition. It's a hybrid. It only costs $41,000. Even if you put more optional extras, you will top out at 45 or 50, maybe $45,000 max. That's where you're going to end up. So in short, I disagree with his point of view on the UX. I strongly disagree. The UX is a strong compact luxury SUV. Sales are there to prove. And there will be a next generation UX coming. So let's hope and see what improvements will come in that generation. And also, just so you know, there has been a massive facelift for the UX. Update, not a facelift, subtle changes. So on that note, I'm going to end this video. Thank you very much for joining me on the show. Thank you very much.